Hello friends, welcome back. My name is Stephen Bedall, and in this video we are going to walk through some essential audio editing techniques in Cubase to help you clean up and arrange your recordings. We'll focus on working with audio events using the split and range tools, and I'm also going to show you the basics when it comes to applying fades and adjusting event volume. Whether you're editing vocals, instruments, or any other type of audio, these tools will help you to get tighter, smoother, and more polished results. Let's jump in. So, taking a quick look at this session here, this is a track that I'm planning to mix, and what you're looking at here is the unprocessed audio stems for the track. I went ahead and color-coded them so it's a little easier to look at. We got our drum tracks up here in red, our bass, electric guitars, synths, and down here in green, we've got our vocal tracks. And these are what I'm going to be focusing on for the most part throughout this video. Before we get into it, let's take a quick listen to these stems, just so you know what we're working with here. Cool. So as you can hear, kind of a funky pop track. It already sounds pretty good, but I do need to clean up a few things with these vocals. I'm going to start with this vocal ad-lib stem. Let's click on the audio event, and I'll hit Z to enlarge the track. And I'm also going to hit S to solo this track. I need to know it. So these ad-libs are scattered textural vocals that are meant to support the main vocal. You can see that they only start at about 2/3 into the track. So I have all this space here where there's no audio at all. So if I wanted to delete this part of the event, what I could do is right click. We can come over here to the split tool. I can make a cut right here, right click again, come back to my object selection tool, select this section of the event and hit delete. So that's how we use the split tool, and it's one that you'll likely be using very often. Now there's actually a quicker way to access the split tool. I'm gonna hit Command Z on my keyboard a couple of times to undo what I just did, or Control Z if you're on a PC. And if I want to make that same cut just slightly faster, just hold down Option or Alt on your keyboard and it'll bring up the split tool. So I'll click to make the cut, click this empty event, delete, gone. Okay, so let's go a little deeper. I want you to take a listen to this vocal part right here. You were gonna show it. Okay, so you can hear with my metronome on there that she's singing slightly behind the beat. If we zoom right in, we can visually see that she's a little bit behind the bar here. It's subtle, but we can easily make an adjustment here so that it sounds perfect. So once again, I'm going to hold down Option to bring up my split tool, and let's make a cut on both sides of this audio. I'll zoom in even further, and using my object selection tool, I can just click and drag this event slightly over to the left. Okay, let's listen to it now. You were gonna show it. Perfectly on time. So that was really easy, but believe it or not, there's an even faster way of doing that with the range selection tool. So I'll go ahead and undo that. I'm going to hit Command Z a couple times, which takes us right back to where we started. And quick side note, if you want to redo something, it's Shift, Command, or Control Z. And I should also mention that if we come up to Edit at the top menu and come to History, we can see here that Cubase has actually kept track of all of our edits. And I can even skip backwards or forwards through multiple editing steps. Really handy feature. So we're back where we started here. This vocal is a little late. You were gonna show it. Let's right click and choose the range selection tool. So check this out. I'm going to click and drag to select my range. And with our range selected, you can see that we have this little hand icon now. And all I have to do from this point is click and drag my selection. No need to make the cuts. So super fast. You were gonna show it. Perfect. So the range selection tool is incredibly useful. There's actually quite a few different things that you can do with it, but I'm going to come back to it in just a minute because there's something else that I want to show you, and this is really important. I want to show you how to apply fades to your audio events. So looking at where we made an adjustment to this vocal, let's zoom right in, and let's come right up to the top right of this event. If I click, hold, and drag, I can easily apply a fade out. Similarly, if I come over to this event here, and do the same thing, I can apply a fade in. Super easy. So all we're doing with this fade in is just gradually increasing the volume of an audio signal from silence, while the fade out does the opposite, decreases the signal back to silence. Using fade ins and fade outs when doing audio editing like this is crucial for eliminating those harsh clicks and pops. Applying fades helps maintain continuity and prevents distracting artifacts in your final mix. Definitely a good habit to get into whenever you're editing audio. Now, there's something else I want to show you with respect to fades. Let's come over to the left side of this event. And if we zoom in, you can see that when I moved this over, there's a bit of overlap from one event to the other. And that overlap is represented by these diagonal shade lines. Now, if we just hit X on our keyboard, it will apply a crossfade between these two events. And we can easily adjust the position of the crossfade as well as the length. And this crossfade here is actually quite useful because she's actually taking a breath between these two vocals here, which sounds nice. And by gradually fading out one event while fading in the next, this crossfade will help me to mask this timing edit that I made. So one more thing I want to show you with respect to fades. Let's come away from this vocal for a second and come up to this synth here. This part is just an arpeggiated synth that kind of just builds towards the end of our track here. So there's a few adjustments I'd like to make to this part, and we can quickly apply what we've already learned to make the necessary edits. So first of all, this is a bit too long. I want this to start at bar 75. So using my range selection tool, I'm going to select the front half of this and hit delete. Super easy. I also want to get rid of this tail here at the very end. I'm going to create a hard cut at bar 79 here. So holding down Option for my split tool, let's make a cut right there, select the tail, delete. And I'd also like this synth to start from silence, because right now if I hit play, it's going to be a little abrupt coming into this. So I'm going to draw a long fade, almost all the way to the end. And I also want to adjust my fade curve. So check this out. If I come up to Audio and come down to Fades, let's open our Fade Editor. And let's select a really dramatic curve shape here. Okay, I'm going to hit Apply. So this fade curve is really gradual. It just comes in really heavy at the very end. And I'll also zoom in here and apply a fade out where we made this cut at the end. Perfect. So those are the basics when it comes to applying fades to audio in Cubase. Now, I want to switch gears here and talk about event volume, because this is also really important. So let's come back to our vocals, and maybe I'll open up this lead vocal track here. And the first thing I want to show you is that we can adjust the gain for any audio event by coming down to the bottom left of the event. When we click, it'll open up a little slider, and we can turn the gain of this event up or down. We can also adjust the gain. If you have your event selected, just hold down Shift and Command or Control. You'll see those up and down arrows. We can increase or decrease our gain that way as well. Now, listening back to this lead vocal, there's a few sections here where some of the words that she's singing come out quite a bit louder than others. And that's okay, that's natural. So for example, right here, you ain't gonna show it. This word show here is sung quite forcefully, and I want to show you how easy it is to make an adjustment. And I mentioned earlier that I wanted to come back to the range tool. So let's right click and select our range tool. And if I just select this word here, I can adjust the gain of this segment just by coming up to the top, clicking on this little diamond, and dragging it down. You ain't gonna show it. Okay, much better. And let me show you something really cool. This is one of my favorite Cubase features. Let's just undo that. Now, if you have your range tool selected, if I hold down Shift and Command, Cubase will detect the segments in my audio. So in this case, I don't even need to make this selection with my range tool. I can just hold down Shift Command, come up to the top, make my adjustment. One click, super fast. You ain't gonna show it. So again, coming over here, this segment can use an adjustment. Just gonna bring it down a little. Makes my life super easy. Also, I should mention something here. It's important to understand that when I make a gain adjustment on my audio event like this, it's different than coming to the mixer and adjusting the volume fader of this track. What I'm doing here is changing the level of the recorded signal before it reaches the channel fader, which is important to keep in mind, because if I have plugins loaded on this track like reverb or a compressor, by adjusting the event gain, I'm changing the amount of signal that I'm feeding into those plugins. Whereas if I'm adjusting the fader of this track, it's affecting the volume output after it goes through all of those plugins like my reverb and my compressor. So just something to keep in mind, especially when you're adding plugins to your track. Now, speaking of plugins, I want to show you one of my favorites, and I'm going to load it on this lead vocal track. It's called Vocal Chain, and it is incredibly useful. This is an all-in-one vocal processing plugin that combines essential effects like EQ, compression, de-essing, saturation, and more into a streamlined, easy-to-use interface. And the Vocal Chain plugin is included with Cubase Pro. So let me show you how I used it in this track. So I've got a bit of compression on this main vocal, not too much. I also added a bit of saturation. We have a choice between tape, tube, and distortion. I'm using tape, and I'm using this really useful filter bank so that I'm only saturating these mids here. I'm using my EQ, brightening things up a little at around 4K, and dipping some of these low mids. And I also applied a bit of delay and reverb, which sounds really nice.
I like the way that your touch got me tripping like vertigo.
And in the context of the rest of this track, I think this vocal is sitting really nice.
I like the way that your touch got me tripping like vertigo.
Alright, that's a solid starting point for editing audio efficiently in Cubase. We've covered some simple but powerful techniques to make your recordings sound cleaner and more professional. I hope you found that helpful. Make sure to check out some of our other tutorials, check out the links in the description of this video, or go to steinberg.net to learn more. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.